Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Lexington Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live in the Town of Lexington YouTube channel. The board is comprised of town citizens, and we are appointed by town council, and we serve without pay. We are a legal board operating under the Comprehensive Planning Act of the state of South Carolina. Although this meeting may not seem to be as formal as a hearing in court, all statements must still be true, factual, and not made in a manner to mislead us. Please understand that we must make our decisions within the parameters of state law. State law requires us to grant a variance if and only if we find that each of the following four statements is true. There are extraordinary, exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography. That these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting of the variance. Moreover, state law prohibits us from granting a variance simply because the property could be used more profitably if the variance were granted. We're not concerned with the use of the property. The use of the property is determined by others. We ask that you please confine your remarks to the issues at hand. Should we make a decision that you believe is incorrect, you may appeal our decision to the circuit court within certain time limits provided by state law. In case that such an appeal is made, it is important that the circuit court know who testified at this meeting. Please sign the sign-in sheet and identify yourself before speaking. Thank you. And action item, variance 2024-3. We'll hear from staff.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a carryover from the March meeting in which Springfield Signs requested variances from the sign ordinance for the Outback Steakhouse under construction at 5595 Sunset Boulevard. Sign ordinance allows this site to have two signs with a total square footage of 150 square feet. The applicant is seeking variances to allow the site to have four signs with a total of I think, yeah, well, four signs because one is the directional. Right, that's what I said, yeah. Four signs with a total of 213.2 square feet. This request was tabled by the board in March. Since then, the sign package was reduced from 6 signs with 475 square feet. The sign ordinance also limits the size of wall signs to no more than 10% of the wall area of the wall the sign is attached to. The new proposal includes 3 wall signs that all exceed this size allowance. One is 26.4 square feet larger than allowed. Another is 14.3 square feet larger than allowed, and the third sign is the map of Australia, which is 73.83 square feet. Wall dimensions were not provided for this sign for the wall that it'll be attached to, so it's not possible for us to determine how much larger than the allowance is on this. To approve the submitted sign proposal, the applicant will need 3 variances. One variance is needed to exceed the total number of signs for the site. A second variance is needed to exceed the total square footage for the site. And a third variance is needed to allow the 3 wall signs to exceed the size, or theoretically the 3, at least 2, to exceed the size limitation for the walls that they're attached to. There is in your package the sign submittal.
Current sign submittal.
The current sign submittal. But I thought it would be helpful. I took some photograph today, this morning, showing the site and where the signs are going to be located with the black marks back, then a takeaway sign, then another wall sign, dry outback steakhouse, and another wall sign here on the front, and then the monument sign. Rudimentary exhibit.
We like your rudimentary.
Were you standing in the road when you took this?
I was in the meeting,
Okay.
safely in the meeting. That's all I have. Some comments.
Where's the monument sign gonna be?
It's gonna be refacing the one that says "Oh Charlie's" on it.
Same size, same place.
It's compliant size.
Amazing.
Is this where we, yes, okay.
Speak to applicant.
Hey, appreciate y'all talking to us. My name is Matt Pennings. I'm with Visual Concept Signs and Lighting, and this is a representative from Outback Steakhouse. His name's Donald McKinney. I guess ultimately what we're trying to do is just actually brand the building in accordance with the size of the building itself, so it doesn't look disproportionate to the actual facade. We understand that y'all have, the ordinance states that because it's the actual, and I'm not sure if we're even looking at the same brand book, I think we are, but on this portion of the building, the tan facade, we were notified that the square footage allotment is only proportionate to that part of the building, only because it actually stands out. It's not one solid relief. There's going to be a little bit of distance out. We're requesting the variance only because to come into conformance, if you scale the signs down much more, it's just going to look completely disproportionate to the actual elevation itself. I'm trying to think of an example of one where signs are smaller than they would be. The only thing I can think of that y'all will be aware of inside of city limits where signs do appear disproportionate would be where they're larger than it seems like they would be at the out parcel at the Home Depot, where the Krispy Kreme and the Verizon and all those are. Those signs, you look at the facade and it seems like it doesn't really match the relief. It just looks off. We're also requesting that the takeaway sign not count as square footage towards the allotment, only because that's actually directing customers to where they can actually get their food to go. And along the same lines, the map itself is an unbranded, I don't know if you would call it a decorative relief. I don't know if you would call it artistic improvement. But
Did you list, I'm sorry to interrupt, did you list that as one of your signs?
I personally did not.
Was it listed, let me re-ask my question, was the Australia map listed as a sign in this documentation that we have?
I have, honestly, Springfield Signs issued the permit request. They asked me to be here on their behalf, and I have not seen the actual permit request.
Okay.
Well, in here it says the map of Australia is 73.83 square feet, but the wall was not provided as to what wall it's going on.
Yeah, we discussed this too, that the fact that last month when that came in, because we had a representative here last week who got the paperwork shortly before the meeting. The original person, the lady Alicia, I guess, couldn't make it, and then now you're another one. That sign, if it's put in here as a sign, it's not up to.
Initially, in the first submittal for a variance, it stated on the package sign under map. They have since changed that label. I think it says decor panel map now.
So what does that mean from a staff perspective, John?
And where does the decor?
I would imagine that since the change to the map itself went from having decor on it and a light behind to now removing the light and stripping any of the branding off of it, that maybe has changed what we can call it, I would say.
What are you calling
I mean,
it?
it's not
It's
not lit up, it's
decorative.
to-
It's an unbranded. I mean, it'd be like getting an interior designer
It
to.
is illuminated.
It's not illuminated, it's
The,
not,
the variance was to not illuminate it
it's-
moving
it is-
forward.
It is a non-illuminated relief.
Well, we might have to have relief from the map.
Nice.
Okay.
Let me read the definition of a sign from the sign ordinance. Means any sign, business signs means any sign, pictorial or otherwise, regardless of size or shape, which directs attention to a business, commodity, attraction, profession, service, or entertainment conducted, sold, offered, manufactured, existing or provided on the premises where the sign is located or to which it is affixed. Such signs are sometimes called on-premise signs.
And what was the new, what was the wording you used a moment ago?
Decorative, but it's not.
A decorative,
Decor
Decor
panel
panel
map is what
map.
it says right here.
okay.
I suggest you put it inside. What do you think?
So branding doesn't, does that impact the definition at all, if the branding is on there?
If it's intended to bring attention to the building.
It is.
It's considered a sign.
Okay, so we can forget.
All right, so I'm sorry, you were talking, you discussed the size of the panel and being out, and then you discussed the sign, the map sign, and I interrupted you, but I didn't know if you wanted to finish where you were going.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't
Where
know
you were.
I feel like I was trying to address multiple questions, so.
Okay, so, the variance is for
Well,
larger signs and more signs. And
Is that illumination?
No, it calls out, if you look right
they
here.
get two signs.
It's not illuminated.
They get two signs.
That's
They get a
not
sign on
lit, sir, that's actually the mouth attaches to the
Huh?
wall. That's an as-built rendering.
Where are they gonna?
It's non-illuminated?
It is not illuminated.
Can you see that?
Is there a town definition for branding?
She
And
just
maybe
read
it doesn't make any difference, but I guess when you're reading the description, if it's not a branded sign,
If Outback is supposed to be Australian, then why wouldn't you put a panel of the United States? It's clearly meant for advertising.
right, but I guess my question is, what constitutes it as
Okay.
actually, if it's counting towards sign
You like it?
allotment? I guess my question is, what defines a sign?
Okay.
I just read you the sign definition.
That's what I'm asking about from a branding purpose. If it's a non-labeled, I mean, well, if it could, well, I guess here's what I'm asking. If they're not allowed to put a panel of the map up that doesn't state Outback on it, and it's registered as a sign because it's a panel, could they go back and paint a mural on the wall without a permit? At that point, isn't it still?
You'd still be a sign.
That would be similar to the Fats Cafe that I passed on the way in, right?
And they wanted to put.
They had a
Fats
giant
Cafe-
mural
Yeah,
on the
They
side.
wanted to put Fats Cafe on it. and they
Well, we had someone that painted barrels and said it was for safety, and they put their logo on it. It don't work.
Well, plus two, what you're talking about as far as murals and whatnot,
That's a sign.
well, it could be a sign, it also could be art, but that falls into appearance, and that's not under our purvey. There's another group that looks
I
at
think
that
you-
type of thing.
That's
Okay,
where
put
if we
your
remove
map
all the
inside.
branding from anything, then it would potentially fall into that appearance versus signage.
And again, we're just trying to figure
yeah,
out
I'm
what
trying
the
to
options are for the restaurant.
Okay, so first off, I want to go back and address, if I could, the first thing you brought up, because we hear this a lot, and the gentleman that was here representing Outback in March had the same question. The sign ordinances as they're written is the part of the building that it's attached to. If there's relief to the building, that's where that stops. Burlington Code asked the same question, Five Below asked the same question. It has to do with the amount of space. So as far as that goes, that's what's in our ordinance,
10-4.
okay? We have a lot of folks that go measure end to end, front of the building, back of the building, but if the building, as yours is, has reliefed areas on that.
Understood.
So, on a facade, excuse me. And then it doesn't apply here, but there's also talks about, what is a first story, what is a second story, from that perspective. The problem that I have, and it gets very simple, For us to, in good conscience, to give, and by law, to give a variance, as Mary stated in her opening, we have to answer specific questions, that is, legal documents that are on the board. And the first question we have to answer is, what are the extraordinary and exceptional conditions? And I get signage. I get you want people to see your business, but you're this far off the road, okay? You have visual confirmation of your building. I drive up and down 378 constantly. You know, last 2 weeks, I've been redoing my closet, so a lot of trips to Home Depot. I've watched your construction 4 times a day, back and forth. You can see the building this direction, you can see it from the other direction. I can't find personally, and I can't speak for my other board members, I can't find anything extraordinary or exceptional that puts into a place for you to have a number one, an extra sign, and number two, to have a sign that's over what our limits are. If I can't put that there, then I can't personally say that to grant this. So that's where we're at. And I understand corporate branding. You know, the lady from QT came here and wanted a 100-foot sign next to the highway. And like she explained to us, it is a corporate function, and that's what she's asked to do, and I understand your position. But we have to work that within what we've, you know, it's been 10 years or more, almost 20, since the sign ordinance went in. And it was done for a certain purpose for our town, so it would have a certain look and not look like, you know, Myrtle Beach or Two Notch Road.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask you about this map. Could the map not go inside the restaurant?
I mean, it's, we have obviously other decor within the building.
But I mean, if the map was that important, I would think you'd want it on the inside.
Right, and I think the biggest challenge comes with, I mean, whoever designed the building and those separate reliefs to give aesthetic appearance, and then not being able to encapsulate that as full facade of the front of the building, because now we're gonna have just face painted solid color and no real aesthetic please to it, right? Unless we went and changed the entire face of that part or changed color or something like that. So that's honestly, there's been probably 4 or 5 of these that have popped up, a couple in the Charlotte area with very nice depiction of everything. Some of them have been able to be illuminated. I completely understand. I live in Mount Pleasant, and right. So
you got the fanciest
I
wall.
spent a lot of time in Hilton Head.
Yeah, the fanciest
zoning-
Walmart in the state.
Yes, a zoning perspective, I definitely understand the aesthetic of the town and what we're going for. I'm here to advocate on behalf of the business, line of sight, visibility, safety, intersection, right? All of those things. So, I mean, I get it the way that the letter of the law is written for that space that juts out, and being that it's so narrow, it doesn't functionally or I guess aesthetically work with the entire decor and design of the building, which is what we're pleading on our behalf to make it look appropriate and still, you know, look beautiful for the town, right? I mean,
So I go back to my same question. What is extraordinary and what is exceptional? Because the items that you've discussed, and I don't disagree with your perspective.
correct.
But the items you discussed have to do with the design of a building
Branding.
and branding. And that, every business that stands in front of us, you know, everybody wants a bigger sign and everybody wants
Well,
to be
and-
seen.
I mean, I would say, you know, with where we started to what we're asking for too, the takeaway sign, which I think is
I think that one-
around 4 square feet, right, as asked to be directional. The map, whether that can change in designation of what it actually is, I don't know. Then we're down to just those 2 signs again, and maybe that square footage of those 2 signs equals the allotment for what we're.
And they did downscale the storefront signs, and they have brought those down. I'm sorry, I don't have the original measurements in front of me, but they're down to.
I believe it was near like 400, change.
It's down to
209.
currently,
209.3, I think.
each one of those storefront signs in the rectangle is now gonna be 42.7 square feet. So that's, and if we're allowed 150, that gets us up to 80, 85, 86 right there.
And that would really be the
So that's.
outside of the map and the takeaway.
So, and the takeaway is another 4 square feet, so that gets us up to just under 90 feet. I guess the request is that, and I'm hearing the definition, but I'm still not hearing why it's not, to me, by definition, branded means it actually says the name of the business on it. I mean, that's when I've done signs, that branding standard is, it says the name of the business. So I guess, is that the thing, is the map, is that the biggest?
We love the map, but we don't love the extra signage, okay? You're gonna put the map inside, that's wonderful, but we're not gonna have more signage.
Yeah. And as John read the definition, it's anything that
not
draws
gonna have
attention to
more
your
signs.
business. So that's the definition of a sign.
But, okay, but I'm sorry, the extra signage that y'all are allotting to, are we talking about the 2 storefront signs and the takeaway sign?
I think the takeaway sign, John, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no, from what I see on this, there's no attachment. That takeaway sign, O'Hara's could put on the back of their building if he decided to sell it at a yard sale, because it's just a directional sign, correct?
Counts towards the square footage, but it doesn't count
sign.
a
Sign.
sign. You're allowed
Okay.
2 signs and 150 square feet. It counts towards
Square foot.
The 150 square feet.
150, it doesn't count.
Or the sign. So
If-
takeaway
if-
is-
If the board is amenable, I think we can work out the,
Takeaway. The map,
probably work out the
I mean,
The map to me is a little bit less, I don't know what the word is, egregious than it is, than the actual
Lights and, yeah.
branding. I see that point. Yeah, but that would still go toward the 150, correct?
the map.
Yeah, I mean, if
If you call it art, it doesn't.
it does, okay. It's not, okay. So then under that scenario, if we,
Under that scenario, then they still have
2 signs.
one extra wall sign and wall signs that are too large for the walls they're attached to.
and that one, I just want to, this is because of my crazy
Yeah,
head.
I'm a little, yeah.
When you're saying wall signs, that's basically saying
Outback.
2 Outback signs and then the sign on the monument, because that's the
Monument
3.
sign you said is good.
Monument sign is 1 sign,
and the one,
2 Outback signs are 2
Two
and
more,
3.
yeah.
You're only allowed 2.
See, that's what I was getting at.
Total. So you can have the monument
So
and
the
you can have a wall
monument
sign.
plus 1 or the monument plus 2 is that's where I guess,
The property is allowed 2 signs.
Yep.
Some people use 2 wall signs, some people use 1 monument and 1 wall sign.
I'm with you. Okay, I'm following.
But then there are also restrictions on how big the wall sign can be.
Okay,
So they are exceeding
everything.
the allotment for how big the wall sign can be.
And the
They're
quantity.
exceeding the number of signs, and if the map's not included, they might be under 150.
okay.
Hang on a sec, where is this?
They would be.
You can do the math in your
Yeah,
head.
they'd be 10 feet shy, 10 square feet shy,
They would be 10 feet shy of
the total allotment, because they're 213 with the
removing
wall.
the map?
Yeah, if you remove the map.
Okay.
Take 73 off.
But you're saying if we count that map as art, it doesn't count as a sign? Is that what you're telling me? You can't count the map if it's art.
But I mean, again, if we scratch the map as art, or if it's not our decision, if they decide, okay, we're gonna call that art, then we're still at the same place. You've got 3 signs,
Well,
3 signs, 139.
and they're oversized.
that's what I'm saying, you need to.
And
that's
again,
right.
Yeah, we still have to
I don't
have-
mean to sound like a broken record, but I'm still coming back to the fact, and I don't have a problem saying this, there's been a local government that took their board like this to court because they weren't filling this part out. I don't want to go to court.
I get you.
I like not going to court.
I don't
Not
like
going to
that.
court is like 4 stars for me.
That's like 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, well,
All right,
you
let's
know.
get back to
Michelin.
back to this.
That's Michelin
So
5-star rating.
I
for me.
can't
All
see
right,
this.
all right, okay,
I'm sorry,
okay.
Karen, I'm sorry.
Let's have a discussion. All right, so if we take the map as art, take it out of the picture. Don't talk about the map. That's art, okay? Let's get back to signage. They should have a monument sign and a wall sign, not 3 signs.
Or 2 wall signs.
Or two wall signs,
signs, no monument. How about that? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, as it's presented to us, I mean, I'm
Well,
still
we
in
are
a
going to
place.
present to them. So,
I agree.
2 signs, either 2 on the building or a building and a monument and a beautiful piece of art and a takeaway. Now, if we have 2 signs, now we need to find out how big these 2 signs are
That's
going
kind
to
of,
be.
That's
that's the
Okay,
crux.
correct.
All right, so what they want as an exception for the 2 signs, wherever that may be, how many more feet are we talking about?
Well, so can I ask the question, if we're talking about 2 signs, I'm assuming the monument sign on the street on the roadside is gonna stay,
I mean,
correct?
I
That's up
think,
to
I
them.
think from a safety standpoint, I saw that face. But I mean, if you're, but I
That
mean, you
woman.
think about people turning last minute in.
I hadn't heard that in months.
I mean, I mean, he's got that big row of trees that's right there on the backside of the building that sits in the adjacent parcel. So, and I think the reason they're trying to get the 2 elevations of front signs in the monument was because the front door faces the road, but the parking lot is gonna be, if you walk in the front side of the building, the parking lot is on the left side, so they're just trying to bring it on that side. So, but I see it, but you're saying 2 signs.
Yeah, that piece of art would
Say
look
2
great where that second sign facing your parking lot would be.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful piece of art. So I guess ultimately, if they're going with 2, then according to the allotment, my understanding, and Jessica, you could correct me if I'm wrong on this one, is this within parameters for that fascia?
No, they're allowed on that front one. The north elevation, which I'm assuming is the one that faces the road, they're allowed a sign, it can't exceed 16.25 square feet. On the east elevation, that sign cannot exceed 28.35 square feet. So.
Madam Chair,
On the north elevation.
Madam Chairwoman, it is
Yes.
not the duty of this board to work out their sign package. It's
No.
the duty of this board to either vote up or down on a variance request.
Exactly.
And
It is
that's,
the one before you.
Yeah.
I
So,
like, I'm sorry, Mary.
so we have before us, as it has been presented, I think we will not be able to
I'd like to
qualify.
make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion as presented to decline the ordinance, the variance.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a roll call vote.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion?
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Now, having said that, based on your discussion and guidance, staff will be happy to sit down with the applicants and try and figure out something within the parameters that you have.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's a
excellent.
wonderful,
That's great.
Well, we appreciate y'all hearing us out. We
Yes, thank
appreciate
you.
y'all working with us to figure out.
And we
and-
can't
and-
wait till you open.
to your point, welcome to town. I hope your business
looking forward
continues
to
to
it.
prosper.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Second, variance 2024-4. We'll hear from staff. Okay.
Rhonda Lambert with Design Team Sign Company has requested a variance from the sign ordinance to install additional signage at another Broken Egg located in the commercial center at 929 North Lake Drive. Sign ordinance allows each tenant in a commercial center to have one wall sign unless the tenant space is an end unit with a wall that faces the street. In this case, the applicant is requesting a sign on the rear of the building. And I didn't take this picture, I got this from Google,
Okay.
but their proposal is to put the sign right.
Facing the Midas, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this all the stuff we're done with? I don't want to throw something
Where?
away.
Through the palmetto tree.
Through the palmetto
It's
tree.
behind that tree right there.
Right there, there's my black area.
Oh, I see your arrow.
You know, John, you're going to spoil us with this.
Well,
Okay. So we'll hear from the applicant.
Hello, I'm Bruce Montano. I'm not a sign guy.
I'm sorry, your
State
first
your
name?
Bruce
Last name.
Montando,
Okay.
and I'm not a sign guy. I'm not a real estate guy. I'm a restaurant guy. But we think we have a slight hardship. We've done very, very well thus far in the area and are happy to be here. But we, coming from the southwest, or heading southwest, I guess, there's no visibility there. You can't see. You don't know what we are until you've passed the building. If we're heading northeast, if you go by Old Timey Meat Market and all that, they have signage, and you can see our sign from that way. Some of the other businesses in the area have signage going both ways. Old Timey has one facing that same direction that we're proposing. May I give these to them? And
We don't bite.
We don't bite. You just bring it on up. It's easier for you probably.
The rest of us.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you're not
Appreciate it.
going to know where he's been.
Thank you.
It's an exciting photo going out on YouTube.
Thank you.
Jenny, wave. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
as you can see, the first one at the top, overhead view.
That's what we have here.
And again, just kind of shows kind of how it sits in between the other two businesses, so it's kind of sandwiched in. And again, when you're coming up that big hill, the side where we don't have the signage, it's tough to catch and see what's actually there until you've passed it. And again, we think slight hardship for the business, and we want to be competitive and stay there and grow revenue and hire more people and pay more taxes and all those wonderful things. That's the first page. Second page, I believe, just shows the monument sign that's there, and we have a small slat there that is visible from both directions, but it's coupled with several other businesses and doesn't really stand out like we'd like for it to. And then next page is the actual, a kind of a rendering before and after sort of thing, and what we hope to put up there. And then the last page is kind of the dimensions of the sign, shows how it's going to be illuminated during the evening hours, what it would look like during the daytime,
Illuminate.
sort of thing.
So it would be illuminated?
It would be illuminated in the evening, correct. Even though we're a 7-2 business, we still like to bring attention to the business so people will know we're there for future visits.
Anybody have questions for the applicant?
Question, I guess, as I'm looking, the only question that I have, and it's just kind of a general question. What, I'm looking at the first picture that you provided where another Broken Egg Cafe is on, shopping center monument, I guess, as compared to, was that in the original development plan, or can you give me a little bit of background on that? Like, why you wouldn't have maybe considered that route previously, like something similar along the lines of what Old Time
I'm not
Meat
sure if
Market
it
did?
was, you're saying why we wouldn't have proposed a sign when we first.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about visibility, if that was a concern, did
Yeah,
you
I'm-
pursue something similar to what Old Timey Meat Market did, where there's their marquee sign in the front of their business?
So when the shell of the business was built and when we moved in, that's what the built, and actually our real estate guy came in and asked, why don't we have a sign? Why didn't we have the sign on this side? And, as I said, I'm a restaurant guy. I'm like, I can't answer that question, but at that point,
The Old Time Meat Market's not part of the commercial center.
No.
This is a long,
Okay, good to know, thank you.
Also, too, I wanted to address, I've heard it said both in the application and then by you, and again here, that Old Tommy's got two, technically they're on two street fronts as well, correct?
that would be correct.
But they're
So,
not
Okay.
in the shopping center.
well, but if they were, they're still,
Yeah.
they're not part of the commercial center.
But that's
So
why you
they're
have-
not, they're
And
not
Dawn-
deemed to be in
It is a separately parceled.
North Lake Village or whatever, okay,
Property that is owned by a separate individual, and that signage has been there for
thank you.
And Dawn, was your
probably-
question,
Probably would be considered non-conforming, although I'm not 100%.
was your question to the monument that what I saw when I looked at this is it looks like the monument is a certain lettering and the Broken Egg Cafe, which is branding is important, is his brand as opposed to just larger letters that match. I mean, truthfully, Benchmark and Broken Egg kind of stand out in this photograph because it's a still photograph, but they look different only because they don't match the aesthetic of the rest of the sign. Is that what your question was?
Yeah, it just seems to me that that's the focal point of the
Yeah,
business, is
yeah,
that
yeah,
side.
yeah.
I enjoy your restaurant very
Thank you.
frequently.
We do.
But to me, that's that's the visual point, that I'm drawn to when I,
Sure, the logo.
visit the restaurant. Like, I just,
Did you consider, I mean, again, it's not part of the package, but it is the geography. I'm looking at the photograph that came from Google Earth,
You can't see it.
and if your sign is there,
You're gonna see it.
I'm not gonna see anything but maybe the logo, the little chicken head on the one side. Did you consider, is there room for something on the front-facing part of the building? The one that faces Highway 6?
Don't they have a sign?
No, it's
So
over the
we
door
can-
in the parking lot.
would that be an option? It would?
it would.
My concern is I drive that every day, and I think Mr. Hanson's picture of the building it says it all, that you're not going to see that logo coming up the hill. And when you do, you're going to be at the driveway, and you're going to be locking brakes up to turn right. Like I say, I drive that every day, and you're not going to see that sign.
Understand.
It's behind the trees.
Understand, but again, the other gentleman mentioned Mount Pleasant. I have a restaurant in Mount Pleasant that no one knows it's back there because of the signage. It sits in the back of a shopping center.
Yeah, because you got buffers there.
And you can't cut down a tree there.
Right.
And nobody can see the sign even if you're in the parking lot. And I've got people that live in Mount Pleasant that I run into and meet, and they, don't know the restaurant's there still. And they've lived there for years and years. And, I feel like when people ride by and see that sign, that, we'll have to come back, next time we come back this way, we'll come visit. Didn't know it was there. I still think it gives us a good statement that, we're there, and gives the people an option, and they know they have a good breakfast brunch option in the area.
I mean, it's a wonderful place. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
We all love that.
I just worry that that's going to be an accident scene.
Yeah, no.
That somebody's going to be coming up that hill and see that sign right there at the last minute, when the best entrance, in my opinion, is still going up the street by the chicken place.
In between, yeah.
Yeah. That just, whatever the.
Carolina wings.
Chicken wings. That would just
That's
make.
the San Jose road. Let's get
There
that
you go.
right.
All right, San Jose Road. That's the scary thing I see about it.
And Mary, like I said before, and you heard me speaking with the previous applicants, I need that justification, and I don't see, and again, I only speak for me, not my board, they're individuals. I don't see the extraordinary part of it. I understand the desire that you have. I understand the logic that you used to come to that, but there's nothing extraordinary about it. Now, have you talked to the landlord about enlarging, have you talked to the landlord about the monument sign, maybe possibly having it bigger?
I have not.
John, is that even an option for him? I know you can't speak for the landlord, but is a larger,
It could be. I drive by there every day too, and just visually, I think commercial center signage can be larger than what is there.
And didn't you also say that if he should decide that he wants to put it on the front of the building, he might want to revisit?
Because that's street facing, right?
Street facing.
It could be considered an end cap.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, if you give him a variance, then he could have signage on three sides.
no,
No.
No.
I don't see that happening.
What is an end cap? Can you explain to me what an end cap is? I'm sorry.
When you're on the,
So an end cap is in a commercial center, a business that has a wall facing a street.
Okay.
Have, like if you're on the end cap of the center and
but it has to be a street, not just a.
Yeah, it has to be a named
roadway.
road.
it has to
Correct.
be a road, it can't be the driveway.
Correct, okay.
So
I'm with you.
I think the liquor store in that shopping center, it does have an end.
Yeah, the beverage
Yeah.
outlet does have one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they have a
Other
sign
end
on
of the
that
shopping
side.
center doesn't face a road.
No.
Yes, yeah.
This could essentially be considered an end cap and put it on.
Okay, I think we have a motion
Put it
to
on the sidewalk that's being proposed. I can't really call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, honestly, I understand your position, but to me, the focal point of your business is actually, would be, I guess, what would be deemed the end cap portion as opposed to the back of the building.
So we could call the front of the building the end cap.
But we're not there yet.
Traditionally,
We're
that's
not
not.
yet.
yeah,
We're dealing
okay.
with
Yeah.
this.
And we recognize, again, the end cap, they possibly could still be past the driveway to Midas, but the thing is, and I understand it's a slight inconvenience to a driver to come around. Trust me, I drive 800 miles a week for my job, but you can come around, so.
Right. Understood.
I'd
Any
like-
other?
I'm gonna make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to deny the variance as written.
Second.
We have a second. We have a roll call vote.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion?
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
I'm sorry, you need to retry.
All right.
Thank
For your
you.
time and
Thank you.
consideration.
Hey, thank you
Thank you.
for investing in
We'll be back to the
Lexington.
rest.
Yep.
We know where it is. Okay, we have the Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of March 7th.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved as submitted. Okay, anything else for the good of the town?
We coming back next month?
Yes.
So that would be what date?
What's that date?
Well, no. I won't be here. Yeah, because Friday, the June 31st, or May 31st is a Friday.
June 6th.
I'll be intoxicated.
You will be in sunny climes.
Uh-huh.
I think I'll be here.
I won't know that till it happens.
I'm here.
I have nothing on schedule that
You
would
still
permit
be
me from doing it. No.
That'll be my last one.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That'll be my last one.
What do you can't go
I'm
yet?
retiring.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
gonna make me cry.
Aye. We adjourn.